Donald Trump made history on Tuesday when he became the first US former or sitting president to appear in a court as a criminal defendant. Now, after surrendering in a New York court, Trump pleaded not guilty to 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. Calling this indictment a witch hunt, Trump claimed that the US was going to hell, delivering a campaign-style speech to cheering supporters. He also said that criminal is the attorney who is prosecuting him, and the judge presiding over his case hates him. Now, the US elections were rigged and Democrats are out there to get him. Nonetheless, we want to today understand why a defendant could accuse judiciary for political bias in the US and how the system is different than in India. We spoke with a couple of experts. Listen in to what they had to say.
First of all, I would take a little objection to the term political vendetta because of Trump's own behavior. I mean, there's palpable evidence of his having really gone outside the bounds of the Constitution to try to overturn the results of a presidential election. And of course, the case in which he's been indicted and which will now proceed to trial is perhaps the slightest of the cases that he is currently involved in.
In the process, what's going to happen is as follows. The lawyers for Mr. Trump are going to make defense motions. And those motions are going to include requests that the indictment against Mr. Trump be dismissed for legal bases. They're going to argue that certain things occurred which do not justify the indictment, like they will argue that the statute of limitations for the crimes for which he was indicted have passed.
Jury is still out on that. And as you see, Ambassador Shankar has brought out that the present case is perhaps the most weakest in a certain sense. In the sense, the Americans are willing to tolerate sexual peccadillos of their leaders. Mr. Clinton, for example, was one of them. He still got elected. Even the kind of charges, the other charges that have been laid out there, they're willing to go by them.
It is a short-term help and a long-term hindrance. He is able to generate support and sort of re-magnetize those individuals who are on the fence about him or maybe tiring of him, but have problems with the larger political system. He's able to bring them back into the fold, and he's been able to utilize that energy to raise enormous amounts of money in recent days for his reelection campaign. So in that regard, it's a help.